back to Zoom this time, and we're starting with 7 deuce offsuit, easy fold, easy start to the session. Yeah, so I played regular tables in the last video. Some of you liked it, some of you probably not so much because I didn't get a lot of views. But I will try to do that again. But for today, we're playing 25 NL Zoom again. And we're opening King Queen off. We get snap 3-bet by a player who I don't know. King Queen off would be kind of cuspy, but not against a 9 big blind raise. So I have an easy fold in this one. Yes, I've tried different formats, and you can still let me know in the comments what you prefer me to play. I am going to play 50NL Zoom soon, but also thinking of doing some more 2NL ones and definitely playing some more regular table ones. I might even include some 100NL reg tables. But yeah, we'll see. I'm still a little bit in the finding process what the best thing is. I've got mixed reviews, as I said, but I do like playing all of them, so I'm happy to include quite a few different ones. Right, 5-4 suited on the button. We will open if we get a chance to, which we do not, so we fold. You can 3-bet there, but it's quite an exploitative one. And after all, you only have 5 high. So if you know that you have a player behind you, not behind you, sorry, there a player who raised there who folds too much to 3-bets or opens too light, then you can do that. And by opening to light, I mean if he opens to light and then either folds or folds a lot to a c-bet on the flop. Because otherwise, if you get sticky post flop after opening to wide, then you definitely do not want to 3-bet 5 high. So we have a player who won the EPT, and he's opening, and I'm not going to give him any action with my king deuce off. So I made a video about labeling players, and if you watched it, you will know that the purple tag means that I consider the player to be a non-crusher. But first we'll have to see what this one brings. We have ace high on a queen high flop. We can check, we can bet, we can do whatever we want, but as this player hardly ever folds to c-bets, I am going to check, and now we have some draws, but not amazing ones, because we're drawing to the 6 high flush, and we're drawing to the straight with a gut shot on a board that is has a flush on it, and this player doesn't actually seem to c-bet and bet a lot, which is why I will fold my ace high. Now, this is not like a straightforward fold. I could have called there, and if you look at it, I mean, I have ace high, I have the draws, even though they're a bit crappy, but he made it 3/4, I think, and I just looked at his stats, and although he is someone who is very sticky here, I mean, this player might be over bluffing, but I will still fold my king jack offsuit from early position. Yeah, so I just thought that player, yes, he is sticky, which indicates that he is normally quite and could be an aggressive player or someone who's a bit better. But because he only c-bet 43% of the time and he had 0%, 0 out of 2, admittedly, in betting the turn, I just thought that my ace high might not be good there. Not entirely sure if that was correct, but I think I'm still okay with that fold. It definitely can't have been a big mistake. Come on, now we're having to wait for the cutoff, who is taking his time. And we can now finally raise our ace-5 offsuit. We do have a fairly aggressive player there. I thought that, yeah. Well, the thing is, I can't do much with ace-5 offsuit, so unfortunately I will have to let this one go. Could have gone for the 4-bet, but I don't like to do it if I don't have a suited combination of cards in my hand. I'm getting 3-bet a lot at the moment. Another one where I have to fold, unfortunately. And there's not much I can do. I do raise a normal range, but then if I get 3-bet and I have queen jack off out of position, there just isn't that much that I can do except for folding. King 6 suited. This could be a hand that I will defend. And we're getting raised. We could 3-bet. We could check. I'm gonna 3-bet it this time, not check, obviously. 3-bet or call, but I decided to go for the 3-bet. Yeah, I think this was my first 3-bet. Yes, it was. But still early days. We've only played 26 hands. Now king 10 off against a cutoff raise is a defend. I do not like this one though. I think now it's not a defend anymore because 3-way as monkey in the middle, I don't want to be involved with king 10 offsuit. Had I had king 10 suited, it would have been a different thing. So yeah, definitely happy not to have called there, and not only because I would have missed the flop. Pocket nines. This will be a 3-bet. Yeah, I am going to 3-bet. So this player does not like to fold a lot of 3-bets, 29%, 4 out of 14 only. And he does call indeed. And this is yeah, this is not great, even though we have a set. I am going to check this one. I mean, now that we have quads, we can consider betting. And I'm gonna go 2/3 now, hoping that he has some sort of a draw at least, if not a pair. And yeah, now can he have hearts? I'm definitely gonna bet, obviously, with the nuts. The question is just how big. And I think I'm gonna go 2/3. But what can he have? Can he have queens or something like that? His slow played, he would have called. I'm just gonna go for 2/3, but to be honest, I'm not really sure what the right size would be. And unfortunately, he folds, and I will tag this hand for review because it confused me a bit. The problem was that 9-10 jack is not really amazing for me as the pre-flop raiser. Ace 8 suited, I will fold in the small blind. This is why I started with a check there, because I think I'm supposed to check most of my range. And okay, so here normally I would raise. Ooh, wow, well, look at this now. Min click, so I will have to fold, but I just want to follow the action a bit. Yeah, so that's why I started with a check there, and then I went for a bet. Unfortunately, he didn't do much. It probably had something like an under pair or so, or just the jack. Well, look at this, king 9. He raised king 9 so big, and this guy min-clicked it with king queen. Okay, well, that's interesting. So I think I can give him the tag of being a non-crusher. Even though for now he'll only get the baby non-crusher tag. If I can ever actually do it. Yes, finally. Okay, queen 4 off. Not a defend. Pocket 8. Let's raise the snowman. Hey, this player is getting a little bit too 3-bet happy, and now with him cold calling, I am definitely also going to call. Sadly, no set this time, and we do not have the 8 of spades, which makes me believe that this is just a fold. So unfortunately, I will have to do that. Cold 3-bet. Yeah, this was a bit unfortunate there that I had to fold. But it was a three-way pot, and even though one of the player had folded, it just means that the original raiser should, in theory, be a little bit more selective with his three-betting. And pocket eights, even if he has a hand like ace king or ace queen, he still has quite a few outs there, and we're basically drawing almost dead against an overpair or a set, which is why I let it go. On this one, we're monkey in the middle, which is why I normally like to start with a check. Had it been heads up, I would definitely have bet this one. Let's see what Floody 89 does. Not much. Okay, now that it's gone check, so both players had a chance to bet. They didn't, so I'm gonna go 3/4. Pretty big bet. And both fold. So maybe I got a little bit too greedy, but I think it's okay to go that big against two players. So normally, yes, you would want to go rather small in a multi-way pot, but I think on the turn, once both players had a chance to bet and they did not do it, I am happy to go slightly on the bigger side, and then depending on whether they call or both call or just one of them calls, I can then see what I want to do on the river. Obviously, if both fold like it happened, then I do not have to worry at all about the river. 9-8 suited, a hand that looks prettier than it is. I will fold it. It's not a mistake to open it, but it's a mistake to always open it. Same with pocket fours. I am going to open them now in the hijack, and we're getting punished straight away by this short stack. Have to fold. I cannot continue, and I do not want to play for stacks, even though it's a shorter stack. I do not want to go all in with pocket fours. Okay, ace 8 offsuit would have been a defend against late position raises, but we're getting a walk. Okay, pocket queens. That's a hand we will definitely play. Let's see, and we do have the raise, and it's actually quite a big raise. I am going to go for 12x because, not 12x, 12 big blinds, which is a little more than 4x. 11 just would have been a tiny bit too small. And I do not like the cold 4-bet. Let's see. But and it's a massive cold 4-bet. So I think I will have to jam and hope that he's got ace king. I mean, the range he does it with is jacks plus an ace king, and he goes so big that I just don't think he has aces or kings. And he does have ace king. So that kind of is like what I thought. I mean, I lose anyway, but against this exact hand, it was the right thing to do, but unfortunately we lost. But that's the thing, like here, this was kind of a little bit a pool read. because I just think if you have aces or kings, you just don't go that big. Now, I can be wrong, but I just felt like this was more ace king or jacks than aces or kings. Had I thought that it would be more aces or kings, then obviously I would have had a harder decision. And I think just calling there would not have made much sense because there was already like over a third of my stack. And therefore I was happy to just get it in. But yeah, note that you're basically hardly fist pumping because yes, if he does have jacks and calls it off, then maybe. Okay, this is the same player. I am going to 3-bet him now with my queen jack suited. So I have him as a purple tag, but then look at his stats. This is a decent flop for our hand. And also for our range, I'm going to go with a range bet kind of. King 8-4 is still dry enough to have that, and we do like this. Not only do we turn a flush, but we also okay, do 16 big blinds. We also have a gut shot to the straight flush. And obviously if we get raised, we would want to go for stacks. We want to go for stacks anyway, even though we only have the queen high flush, but unfortunately, no action. A7 would have been a continue. So, few hands that are not necessarily playable now. King 9 off could be one. It is not, however. Yeah, so we've had a few interesting spots, even though not like any amazing ones, by any stretch of imagination. But yeah, the game's moving a little bit slowly now. And against the min click from the button, this is my one exploit that I like taking. Basically, just 3-betting someone who min clicks it. Well, didn't work out this time, but I am going to follow it up with a fairly big bet, just over half pot, get called again. At this point, I think we have to give up because all we have is jack high. And now we can see, we can try to make it something like this. Could this fold out anything? Well, I'm basically only looking to fold out a king high, and I don't think he has any of that, so I need to check and give up. So yeah, he did have the ace there, so which on the river, maybe on the turn I could have barreled there, so maybe that was a bit of a mistake. So yeah, normally I would never 3-bet jack 9 off, but against a min click on the button, that's usually a quite good exploit to just raise there. And here I have the option to call or raise. I will do the call thing, which is not exactly standard, but it is definitely GTO approved. And now he is betting quite big, which means that we can still call. I think we can call. We don't have to raise. Because we have a gut shot, we have ace high. And now the question is whether we need to bet or if our showdown value is good enough. And I think our showdown value is actually good enough because we beat everything except for ace king that doesn't have a pair, and we draw. We split against ace queen. Jack 10. Okay, so this is one where I'm happy to c-bet now. And we do get the fold. Very nice. Pocket deuces is a very low frequency open in the low jack. So not interested this time. So I'm not using an RNG, a random numbers generator. Oh, this one is an interesting one. I think we have a range bet on this board, and I'm happy to do this. This one is now not the best card for us, but so I will check. And can we go for value? Can we get him to call with anything worse? I do not think so. I will check and see what happens. He snap checks behind and he had, wow, 10-8 of hearts. And he called 10-8 of hearts on the, well, first of all pre-flop, but then also on the button. That's surprising and not really the signs of a great player. I will label him as being a non-great player. Yeah, so I don't use an RNG, and the reason is I don't think it's necessary at these stakes. This is one I am gonna call 1 to win 7 with my 9-6 suited. It is very borderline, but look at this. Gut shot and flush draw. And now we have hit the flush. So I am gonna go for a bet, obviously, now that we have made a flush. We get called. And Picto is thinking hard. If we get raised, we will of course call, but the issue is that for him to have a bluff, he basically needs to have the king of diamonds. And I don't know how many king of diamonds he has that are naked. Maybe king queen, king jack, or king 10, something like that. But this is taking suspiciously long, so I think he's just timing out somehow. Yep. Board pairs, but I'm not really scared, so I would actually hope that he has an ace. And I am gonna go for 2/3. And we do get the call. Well done. We didn't get snapped. Oh, he had a flush himself. Oh, this is unlucky. Had I known that, I would obviously have gone a bit bigger. I actually thought of going 3/4, and I would definitely have gone something like that if the board hadn't paired. But unfortunately, it did pair. So on this one, I am gonna go with a fairly big bet. I'm happy to get called. The king is good for us, and therefore I am gonna go with something like half pot, because there are not many kings that he should call with. And now, unfortunately, this is a very bad card. We have to check, and we hope that we win against a 7 or pocket 6s or something like that. And unfortunately, he had pocket 9s. So, yeah, this happens. I went for a thin value bet on the turn. And pocket 8s ran into pocket 9s. But I still think my thinking was right, because if he has a flush draw, he might call again. If he has a 7, he might call again. If he has 6s, 5s, 4s, all of those will call again. Now 10-6 suited is borderline. But again, we're flopping pretty well. And this is a board where I would normally go with an overbet, but I think this player type, against this player type, I could fold out everything even without that. And is there merit in going for another one after his snap called me there? No. Problem is now I do not have much, and if he has an ace or a king, thing is I'm just losing to something like queen jack, which is annoying. So I might... Nah, I'll just check because yeah, I just think he has an ace way too often. This is a fish basically. So once he snap calls me there on the flop. But that's the thing, like I didn't want to go with the overbet because I know someone like that will not fold an ace, and I think what I want him to fold, he will fold even if I go with a large bet rather than an overbet. Ace 9 suited is a call. Now we have top pair, top kicker. So I think we can go for a raise with top pair, top kicker, even though the board is very scary, but it's also scary for him. And yes, he can obviously have Jack 10 in his range. Oh, I do not like this one though. The question is now, do we have a call? I brought this one up on myself. You normally in a tournament 40, so 50 big blinds deep, you would go all in with top pair, top kicker. He is saying he has an overpair basically. And how do I do against an overpair? 5, 10, 20%, but I do need more than that. And I mean, he does have some bluffs in his range, but I think I will be very nitty and let go of this one. Now, this is one I definitely want to look up in the solver later because I just couldn't make my mind up quickly enough. So I think it was right to go for the raise with top pair, top kicker. But once he jams, I mean, he could have a flush draw if he jams, but he more like, you know, something like, well, even, well, pocket tens, pocket jacks, yeah, queens, kings, aces, and then maybe even two pair, 9-8, 8-7 is possible, even though he shouldn't have a lot of those, but there is just a lot of value that he has. And that's why I chose to fold. Okay, this is... he makes it very big, but I am still going to 3-bet Jack 10 suited in the small blind. And we get the fold. So how are we doing? We're losing $2. Well, we're losing more than that, but the $2 are all in effective because we lost the flip there. And I'm getting 3-bet again by someone. Well, it's quite loose, but he hasn't 3-bet before in 6 attempts. My king 5 suited is not a hand to be proud of. 5-6 suited, this is my 1 suited connector that I like opening, but not once someone has opened before me. So yeah, there have been a couple of hands where I'm just not entirely sure. Here, Queen Jack, I will just call against this reg. And he checks, and he should check quite a lot of hands, but I'm still going to bet after he skipped the bet. I do expect to get check raised a bit. but in that case I will call because I have a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. He calls the king. I can now slow down. Not that a king is necessarily great for him. Okay, this one now I will overbet? Well, I will overbet this one. The Queen of Hearts is not a great blocker to have, but it's a scary board, and if he has ace high, he will fold. If he has some pair like pocket fours or so, he will also probably fold. So that's why the overbet there, I think, was a good one to use to get him to fold. I could easily have had Jack 10 rather than Queen Jack, or just something like 10-9. And if he had had a 10, I think he would probably have bet the river himself, because I would normally... So this is another one of these where I could have considered 3-betting light, although 10-5 off would have been way too light. But yeah, I think he was very capped there with a 4-liner, because normally you don't expect the big blind to reopen the action on a 4-liner with some showdown hand, and I wouldn't go for thin value there, which is why the small blind should have let out if he had had a 10, or the bottom end of the straight at least. Oof, okay, we're getting jammed on. Easy fold with ace jack off. So that's why I thought he was capped, and I went for the overbet. Quite exploitative play, obviously, but a good one for a change. Yeah, not going super well this session. However, we haven't really hit, except for the quads at the beginning, where we didn't get much action. We've actually not really hit... I mean, we did have set over set, but not set over set, sorry, flush over flush that was, where I had the 9 high flush and someone else had the 5 high flush, but even there, it's hard to really make a lot of money. But apart from that, it's been rather quiet. And now, being dealt a few hands that I can't really play. Queen Jack off might be one, but not if we get a raise in the hijack, even though it's a min raise. And so we keep folding. Have to be patient and fold. But actually, if you look, 26-22 are my stats today, so I've had way worse, not like worse stats, but just like lower numbers. King 9 off against the cutoff raise. I think this is quite close, but happy to fold. So we're going to play for another 10 minutes or so, max. And then wrap it up. Pocket sixes is an infrequent 3-bet, but I want to have a bit of action on stream, so I am going to 3-bet, and we get it through. Also, I don't think I've really 3-bet a lot. Well, actually, I have 15%. Is pretty good. Didn't have the impression, but I actually, except for the pocket queens, I've not had any really premium pre-flop hand. No aces, no kings, No ace king. King 9 off. Obviously a fold once there is a raise. You also had to fold to 3 bets 86% of the time, 6 out of 7. Okay, here I am going to 3 bet again with ace 10 off. Also bottom of my 3 betting range, but against the purple tag player. Folds about half of the time to 3 bets. And it does call, and this is one where I'm happy to go for a c-bet, even though I don't have a backdoor flush draw, but I have an overcard. I have a backdoor straight draw. I have the initiative, and I seem to have the weaker hand. Fortunately, have to fold. This is actually a good trick of him if he bluffed me to just go for the raise there, but with that hand against the raise, I just can't do much. If I had had the ace of clubs, I think I could have continued, even though the SPR was getting quite shallow. But without a club in my hand, I think even though I have an overcard and a backdoor straight draw, I need to fold. Okay, easy fold with pocket deuces on that board. King queen suited, nice one to raise. And no action. Pocket deuces again, definitely a fold. This time. King 7 off, I will raise if it folds to me, because I have very tight players in the blinds. But getting punished straight away. And I had to fold another one to a 3-bet. Yeah, but that's also the thing, like, if you don't get dealt great hands, now finally ace-king here, then you can't really defend much against 3-bets either. Okay, what do we say? Oh, he is a calling station, calling me down a 3-bet pot with 5-4 suited on this board. That is good to know. And is he debating a 4-bet? No, he just called. Okay, so we know he is a calling station, so I will c-bet. This is not a c-bet board by any stretch of imagination. However, because I know that he is a station and I have top pair, top kicker, I think that I can just exploitatively go with a bet, because normally I think ace baby baby is almost like a range check rather than a bet. I do want to go pretty big now, because if he has an ace, he will still call, and yes, he could have something, but yeah, he probably didn't have much. Got the snap fold this time, but it's good to have these sort of notes about players, because otherwise I would just have checked the flop, and at least I got one bet out of him. Pocket jacks. This is another one for a 3-bet. His 4-bet range is ace jack O even. Okay, but this time it's an easy one. Ace king again. Well, now towards the end we're getting all the good hands. That's for all of you who have been patient. Really like this username, pediatric. Okay, so now we can finally do something about it. We get 3-bet by a very tight player by the looks of it, 0 out of 12. So I am going to go for the 4-bet in position, and we get a fold. Good. Yeah, with ace king, you actually want folds. This is a crazy thing. Like, a lot of people get angry if they don't get any action, but the hand does actually benefit from everyone folding. Obviously, you'd prefer someone to raise and you 3-bet and they fold, or even you 4-bet and they fold. But even though it was suited, like whatever hand he had, he would have had so much equity against me that I am happy to just fold out that bit of equity. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to play this orbit, and then I'm going to analyze 2 hands, I think, that I wanted to see what Solver says, because they confused me. We're not quite there yet. Now we are. Okay, so let's go to this one and see the 2 hands. Yeah, it was this one. And we're going to, as usually, do the GTO wizard. And my computer is getting really hot. Now let's upload this. So I say this every time, but this is such an incredibly useful tool. And you can even do these hand analyses for free. I think you've got about 5 every month. So just make sure you use that. Okay, something that I did was not quite right. Let's replay the hand, and I'm sorry that my computer is a bit slow. So it would have called, okay, but I play a not really called strategy on the button, so that's okay. To have raised, we get called, and check is the overwhelming play, even with this hand. So I got this one right. And now I should just bet smaller rather than what I did, which was more like 2/3 to 3/4. And now, funnily enough, it wants me to bet even bigger. Although, as we can see, we have the same EV with all of these, and he folded even to this size. So if I had gone bigger, I would probably also have gotten a fold from him. Right, so then this was the other one that I was slightly confused with. Yeah, so you can use this analysis tool, definitely do it. Check out your hands, and if you want to actually do proper analysis, like more hands, then you can use the link below to get 10% off your first time. Okay, call is fine. We could even have raised. Look at this, 37% of the time we would raise. Now we check, and the raise is fine. However, calling would have been the main play. Okay. So once we raise, and then we get jammed on, and this is a fold, so it would have been a massive spew to call. And I don't know why it says to go all in. Is less of a massive spew because it's basically the same thing, but maybe GTO Wizard didn't quite realize that we were not super deep. But anyway, so my main question was whether the raise here was okay, and it was okay, but it would have preferred to just call, probably because of the nature of this flop. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.